Do we have Mr. Stewart online or not?
I'm here.
Okay. Are you in good enough voice to say an opening prayer for us, please?
I can.
Thank you.
Okay, may we bow our heads. Oh, gracious Father, we thank you for giving us this opportunity to be able to use technology to be able to still carry on with the city's business, even with all of the things that are going on in the midst of our world. We realize that you are our place of refuge, you are our fortress, you are our strength, and that you're everything that we need. May you give us a peace of mind to be able to make it through this season, to be able to deal with the fears that all may have as we deal with this pandemic. We ask that you bless our meeting tonight, that you have your hand upon us, that you will lead us and guide us in the way that you want us to go. And we offer up this prayer in your son's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. If you notice, I do have a flag behind me, so we can stand and do our pledge since it is on the agenda, if you don't mind. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Officially call the meeting to order. And if you don't mind, I need to set a few ground rules because we're doing this in a format that we've never used before. It would help tremendously if you're not talking, mute your microphone. If you see it's that little green microphone up to the right on the screen, just click on it, mute yourself till it's your turn to talk or you ask to be recognized. That will prevent some feedback. That's why I'm here wearing headphones. I hear a little more acutely, and we are crossing over on things if we try to talk at the same time. When you're recognized to ask questions or make a comment, please identify yourself. That's just for the record since we're doing this in this manner. And I will do a roll call vote on everything just so we can make sure we understand who voted yes or however you voted. So not just the ordinance tonight, but even on the resolutions, if you don't mind. With that being said, let's see, we've got Councilor Bearden. Present?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Councilor Wilson?
Present. I'm sorry. I muted myself.
Thank you. No problem. Councilor Spivey?
Present.
And Councilor London?
Present. But I can't see you
All right.
guys. I can see you guys, but you guys can't see me.
Not at this point. No, sir.
Okay, so I don't know what's going on.
Okay. Okay. At this point, Councilor Bearden, are you unmuted?
Yes, I am.
Would you like to proceed with the minutes?
Yes, make a motion that the reading of the minutes be dispensed with since each council member has received a copy and that they be approved as submitted. That's for March 17th, 2020.
Whoever seconds, please identify yourself. I'll second.
Council.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. With that being said, do the roll call vote. Councilor Bearden?
Yes.
Councilor London?
Yes.
Councilor Spivey?
Yes.
Councilor Wilson?
Yes.
And myself, that's a yes. Okay. And we apparently do not have any reports of boards or non-council. But anyway, moving back up at the top, Councilor Spivey, are you on to be able to do the bills?
Yes, sir. I make an approval for current bills for payment in the amount of $687,516.83.
And I will identify myself as seconding that motion. With that being said, Councilor Bearden?
Yes.
Councilor Wilson?
Yes.
Councilor London?
Yes.
Councilor Spivey?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Mr. Stewart, are you able to hear us so far to keep up with the record?
Yes, I can hear everybody clearly.
Okay, so far, okay. Professional consultants reports, I don't believe we have anything on schedule. That means, Mayor, you're up for this session.
Okay, thank you, and good evening, everybody. Terry, nice new blinds that you have there. Congratulations on doing our first one from your new home. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you to Patricia for getting this all set up for us so that we can meet this way. It's going to be very helpful for us over the next few weeks, I think, as we are limited on our face-to-face meetings. So thank you, Patricia, for your work and bringing those of us who are not as computer literate up to speed to be able to do this. We really appreciate that. I want to give you just a couple of updates, if I could, quickly here. And first is obviously about the virus and where we find ourselves today. There are updates on the website. We continue to update those and post those as things happen, as things change. You've heard me a couple of times now say that we had placed our staff in better positions than they were prior to the virus in terms of contact with the public. We've taken one additional step. We paused recycling, as you know, after a little bit into this, to limit the number of times that some of our staff have to handle our trash and recycling and stuff. That stuff is all handled by hand, both at home and then when they pick those things up. So cuts out about 4,000 touches for our staff. It's 4,000 less opportunities they have to have a problem with it. We still obviously maintain a lot of those services and the garbage and picking that up, and just hope and pray that our staff take the precautions and do the things that are necessary and stay safe. But we're trying, from the administrative side, trying to do all that we can to assist in that. In addition to that, we just this week, yesterday in fact, we went ahead and officially closed the buildings to the public. We have notices posted on the doors where individuals, if they need something, if it's important, they have all the key phone numbers there in front of them. They can call, we can make appointments, we can make arrangements to service folks that have legitimate needs and things that they need the city to take care of. So we're still working. We're still at full staff and relatively full staff, and still providing all the necessary services to our residents that are out there. We're just doing it in different ways, just like we're doing this meeting in a different way than what we normally do. So the delivery is a little different, but the service is still good and the same. As far as we know, all of our staff, we've not had any problems, knock on wood, thank the Lord. Our staff has been healthy. We've not experienced any real problems. We want to try to keep it that way. The COVID-19 epidemic or pandemic, as we all know, has delivered some pretty heavy blows, both from a health and medical standpoint, from an economic standpoint, from pressure on our systems locally and across the country and the world. And so you may be wondering, well, how does that relate to us in Irondale? And I can tell you, we are just barely a month into officially talking about these things. If you think back 1 month ago, the 1st of March, it probably wasn't a topic, certainly not at top of mind for any of us, and for most of us probably were barely even aware, if aware of it, on March 1st. Here we are, the first part of April, and it seems like we've been aware of it for a long time. So what impact does that have on the city? I've talked to you about the adjustments and how we're delivering our services. The condition of the city, it's going to have an impact on sales tax. Businesses close, and so they're not making the sales that they were formerly. I know of a number of businesses that have laid off employees in Irondale. I heard of one just the other day that laid about 40 employees off. Another one that was considering a similar number. Another business that was planning on shutting down altogether. And so, you know, it has an impact on us that affects sales tax, that affects employment tax that we have. But I want to give you the good news on it. The good news is we're strong financially. We made tough decisions the last 2 or 3 years, and we've positioned ourselves to be able to weather a situation like this as nicely as I could imagine that we would ever be able to do. So the news is not all doom and gloom. I think it is very positive. In fact, I made a statement the other day when we were trying some of these out, when 1 or 2 of you were on the line here. We tried to get people set up at different times. I made the statement to someone, of all the municipalities around us, I would not want to change place with any one of them in terms of where we are in being able to weather this storm, particularly from a financial standpoint for the city. So I think you're to be congratulated for making tough decisions in the past and putting us in a position to where we can come out of this not unscathed. It's going to have an impact on us. It's going to have an impact on our budget, and we'll have to look at that and rethink a few things. But we will come out of this in good shape. I am convinced of it, and I think you will see that over the next weeks as this thing flattens out and we get it behind us. So that's kind of my update on the COVID-19 situation. I've challenged staff here and actually my staff at Habitat to look at these days as opportunities now, opportunities to do some things that we haven't been able to do, that stuff that's been piling up on our desk, those projects that we've been thinking about that would be really good to do, those systems that we want to put in place. Look at those these days as opportunities to get some of that stuff done that we couldn't get done before. And that's the way we're facing that challenge, the challenge we're looking to. So not a fun situation to be in, but yet I think a good position for us to be in as a city. Now, I want to talk about a situation that we experienced last week. On Wednesday night, Thursday morning early, I got a couple of reports about a business that was not taking this pandemic seriously, a business in Irondale. I got some more notices on, like I said, on Thursday morning, 2 or 3, and then on Thursday afternoon, I got a final notice on it from some folks that said, "Hey, this business doesn't seem to be taking it seriously." I'm going to name them here and now because I'm going to give you the detail. It was Flex Fitness on the corner of Crestwood Boulevard, Highway 78. We've got several gyms, as you know, in our city. A couple, 2 or 3 of those are very reputable gyms and do a great job. Iron Beach Gym does a great job, Trudy and her staff there. The Juarez Boxing Studio do a great job, and there are a couple of other smaller ones. And then we have Flex Fitness there. Unfortunately, I can't say the same thing about that business because as I got those complaints, I asked the police chief to go by and look at it. He went by on Thursday afternoon and said, "Hey, everything looks kind of normal. You know, they've got it blocked off in the front. The lights are off inside. You know, nothing seems to be happening." 15 minutes later, I got a call from an employee or a person nearby that said, "Hey, you might want to check it again. You might want to check it again." I drove over there about 5:15, and sure enough, the parking lot was filled up, and we called the police, and they came. They were in there working out. They had disguised the front, turned the lights off, put tape up in the front to make it look like they were not opening, put a note on the door for their clientele to go through the back door. And I'm just going to tell you, I have no tolerance for that. And it's not a business. That's not a business model or business that we want located in Irondale. We shut them down that very evening, marched all of the people out of there that were in there. There were probably about 15 people in there. The parking, like I said, the back parking lot was filled up. We got a hold of the manager who was not there. We got a hold of the owner who was not there. We've cited both of them. They have summonses to come to court. I am hopeful that they will choose to do business somewhere else, not here, because we just don't want that kind of thing. We want business, and we need business to come to Irondale, but I'm going to tell you, we can go a long time without that type of flaunting. I mean, these people, because these people go in there and do that, and no regard for the social distancing and the health order that the health department had put out. No regard for that or for the people they next come in contact with. They walk out of that building and go to the paint store or go to the bank or go to the Waffle House or wherever it is that they're potentially exposing other people to the virus. So anyway, we're working on that. I wanted you to know because there's been some stuff on Facebook, particularly the owner's Facebook page, trying to drum up support and talking about how terrible our police are and how terrible Irondale is. I'm going to tell you what, I am never more proud of our police officers than the way that they handled that and the way that they took care of business. And we're going to see it through, and we're going to be better through it once it's all resolved. So the judge has issued a cease and desist order to that business, and so they'll have to come before the judge to get back in business. But we'll be working that out as we go. Enough on that. We have a planning and zoning meeting coming up this month. We looked at the cases and thought, well, can we do without? We really need to have that planning and zoning, so we will have a system worked out for us to be able to have that. There are 2 or 3 items on the agenda. The most important one is about the grocery store wanting to get some of the property that they have under contract zoned to commercial so that they can continue their work on the grocery store that's planning on coming to Irondale. And I don't want to delay them. I want to be able to get that through planning and zoning so it can get in your hands as early as possible. So we will be working toward having that planning and zoning meeting later this month at the regular scheduled time. I have one last thing. I'm sorry, my report's a little bit long, but I think those things are important for you to hear. I have a proclamation on behalf of the Exchange Club. I want to read this just quickly here and enter it into the record for the meeting. This says, whereas the City of Irondale applauds the Exchange Club of Irondale for its dedicated work in the prevention of child abuse in our community, and whereas the City of Irondale commends the Exchange Club for its tireless promotion of ongoing programs in our community, which are designed to help prevent child abuse, and whereas the City of Irondale stands firmly on the side of prevention of any type of abuse, whereas the National Exchange Club adopted the prevention of child abuse as its national project in 1979, and since then, April has been designated as Child Abuse Protection Month. And the City of Irondale supports and encourages all of our residents and community leaders to wear blue each Monday in April in observance of Child Abuse Prevention Month. Now, therefore, I, Charles Moore, the mayor of the City of Irondale, hereby proclaim the month of April to be Child Abuse Prevention Month in the City of Irondale. And we support the efforts of the Exchange Club of Irondale and all others who observe this important cause in their mission to help make our community a stronger and more loving city where children will be able to grow and thrive without fear or harm. In testimony whereof, I hereto set my hand and fix the signature on April the 7th, 2020. And we'll enter that into the record. And that, Mr. President, concludes my report. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Any comments from any of the department heads that you might be privy to, or nothing tonight?
I have a question.
Please.
Are you ready?
Please.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I noticed you called on department heads. I noticed we have outside of the 9, we have several more attendees. Do we have any other department heads on the line, or who are the other attendees? We have 14 total.
Yeah,
Well-
there's 5 residents. Ron Bishop, Michelle Hamrick, who is actually the assistant at the library, Jade Stewart, Dominic and Benedict Lang, and Cindy Cuellar.
Okay, so was this pushed out to the community? I mean, in order to
Yes.
be a part of it?
It was put on the website, it was put on Facebook, and it was emailed to everyone who asked for the agenda to be emailed to them.
And
Okay.
anyone can sign on to listen in on this, all the
Okay.
public.
Thank you. Continue.
And I must say, I'm remiss. I'd like to welcome our guests tonight and thank you for being with us. With that being said, Councilor
Okay,
London, any additional comments tonight from you?
Yes, just one comment. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Y'all shaking your head. Y'all can't see me, but I can see you guys. Y'all looking pretty good. Wake up, Davis, Bobby. But real quick, Mayor, you was talking about the the relief. Bobby and I was at our Committee on Economic Development today, and one thing they mentioned that we need to look into is what they call the Alabama CARES Act. And there's $1.9 billion that's coming to the state of Alabama. About $850 million, the governor has the discretionary to do anything that she wants to do with it. About $115 million is coming to Jefferson County, and that money is set aside for whatever downfall that we may have in the budget. And it's not, they don't have the money right now. But if you look at it, Mayor, it's called the Alabama CARES Act. What the league is saying right now, not to call the governor, because they're working on how this money going to be distributed. But all we have to do is compare our 2019 budget to 2020, starting in March, and they're going to help to hopefully offset those downfalls that we have, whether it's sale tax or revenue or whatever we might do in the city, in the municipalities. That money is out there for us. And so April the 16th, I'm sorry,
16.
is the deadline that the league gonna have. They should have all their paperwork together, ready to go. So we'll just stay in contact with our league municipality, and we'll have some money for our municipality to offset some of those sale tax.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilor London. We are tracking any expenses that are related to COVID as well.
Yes,
We
sir.
believe that there will be some money there through EMA and different agencies. So yes, I appreciate that
Thank
report. We're beginning to track that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Councilor
good
Spivey?
report, Councilor London. I'm glad you brought that up.
That's it? All right. Councilor Bearden?
Yes. I don't have any report
comments
tonight. No,
Okay,
but I
thank you,
just want to
Councilor.
say, where I am employed, we are working, trying to do the best we can to keep the virus out of the building. And we're still working and just serving people in the parking lot instead of letting them into the building. And I think that's something that more companies need to do. And that's all I got right now.
Thank you. Councilor Wilson?
Thank you. I just want to let everybody know to be safe. Just want to ditto exactly what Charles mentioned earlier about, just making sure you're practicing social distancing, and that's very important. And I'm sure every other business have done this. My place of business, we have totally changed the way that we operate now, behind the scenes, that a lot of people probably don't know about. But this too shall pass. That's all that I have.
All right, thank you, sir. And Mayor, you beat me to the punch. I did want to thank Patricia for all her hard work in getting this set up, and thank her very much for that. With that being said, I'm assuming we have no reports from any committees or other councils or outside.
Hey,
Okay.
Steve,
Hey, Steve,
quick.
I think you skipped me, Steve.
I'm sorry?
Can you hear me, Steve?
Yes.
I can
Dave.
hear you. Hmm?
Okay, I think you skipped me. I was going to say something, but I don't know if I didn't unmute my phone quick enough.
Well, I thought you said no. I recognized you, but go ahead, please.
No, you're fine. Just wanted to say that we're going to be I was planning a community workday over at Ventura Place, over in Roebuck Plaza, to spruce up the park a little bit. Though that's obviously been challenged a little bit with the social distancing thing. So we are moving forward with a few little things here and there. So just know there's going to be some good stuff coming to Ventura Park to get that park spruced up a little bit. We wanted to do it more in the spring, but it was just difficult with all the social distancing. And we've all shared a little bit about what's going on with our jobs. I can say with my place, we've obviously transitioned how we do business. We're doing a lot of stuff through the drive-through, but we are helping a tremendous amount of clients with the CARES Act PPP lending. I've put in a ton of applications myself, and the bank overall and the industry overall has been putting in tons and tons of applications so that we can hopefully get some of these local businesses as the funding to keep them afloat as well as their people employed.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate the comments. With that being said, do we go forward with approval of the agenda?
Hey, real quick, Steve, before you do that, can I just, because
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
also watching questions and chatting that's coming in from the other people. And I wanted to
Right.
let you know that Dominic and Benedict Lang are working on their Boy Scouts Community Merit Badge. And they are on listening tonight, just so you know. They're from Troop 226.
Well, appreciate them joining us. Thank you. Okay. Would you like to try on the agenda, Councilor Bearden?
Yes, I will. I'll make a motion that the agenda be approved as submitted tonight.
And I will second that motion. With that being said, Councilor Bearden,
Yes.
Councilor Wilson,
Yes.
Councilor Spivey. Yeah, that was a yes. And Councilor London.
Yes.
Thank you very much. That motion carries. Now, do we have anyone online that would like to comment on agenda items? All right. With that being said, then, can we move into new business with item 1? Fairly self-explanatory.
I make a motion that resolution 2020 R14 be approved.
I second that motion. Councilor Bearden.
Question?
Yes.
Oh, question?
Yes, we stated surplus. I didn't look at the actual document. How many vehicles are we referring to? Or I guess I need to look at it.
Yes, 3 to 4 vehicles.
3 to 4. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So Councilor Bearden, that was a yes.
Yes. Yes.
Councilor Wilson.
Yes.
Councilor Spivey. Councilor London.
Yes.
Yes, that's a yes.
And myself, yes. That motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to number 2.
I'll make a motion that resolution 2020 R15 be passed.
I second that motion. Councilor Bearden.
Yes.
Councilor Wilson.
I'm going to abstain from this one.
Councilor Spivey.
Yes.
And Councilor London.
Yes.
And myself, yes. Motion carries. And move on to number 3, which is an ordinance tonight. If we have any questions, Rob is online. You got the secondary message that this has been reviewed at the state level and approved. It is something we have actually had float through about 3 meetings now. This is the final conclusion on that. Rob, any additional comments?
No, sir. I believe the ordinance was approved by the state, and it is ready for your consideration.
Okay. With that being said,
Is this number correct? Ordinance 2020-03? The last ordinance that I had recorded, I think, was 06.
This number is correct. This ordinance was on some previous agendas, but it was never discussed. It was always postponed. So I just kept it with the same ordinance number.
Okay. Want me to do
That being
it?
said, please.
I make a motion that ordinance number 2020-03 be considered read.
I second that motion. Counselor Bearden,
Yes.
Counselor Wilson,
Yes.
Counselor Spivey,
Yes.
Counselor London,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Please.
I make a motion that all rules that would prevent the immediate consideration and adoption of ordinance number 2020-03 be suspended and that unanimous consent be given for immediate consideration of said ordinance.
I second that motion. Counselor Bearden,
Yes.
Counselor Wilson,
Yes.
Counselor Spivey,
Yes.
Counselor London,
Yes.
and myself, yes.
All right, I've got a question about item number 4, if I may.
We're not through, Terry. We got one more step.
Oh, I apologize. Getting ahead of myself, aren't I? I'll
Yes,
make a motion that ordinance number 2020-03 be finally passed and adopted as introduced.
I second that motion. Counselor Bearden,
Yes.
Counselor Wilson,
Yes.
Counselor Spivey,
Yes.
Counselor London,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Motion carries. Thank you. Now, do you have a question on 4 before we put it on the floor?
Yes, I did not compare it with the ordinance that's currently in place, but I assume that the only thing that was changed was the meeting time for the council and the elimination of the pre-council meeting. Is that correct?
Mr. Rosenberg, would you like to comment on that? Because it cleaned up a lot of things.
Yes, that is correct. The only items that were changed were the deletion of the pre-council meeting and changing the regular meeting time to 6 p.m.
All right. With that, I make a motion that ordinance number 2020-09 be considered read.
Okay. Second that? Okay. Counselor Bearden,
Yes.
Counselor Wilson,
Yes.
Counselor Spivey,
I do have a question about this before we proceed.
okay, please.
May I?
Yes, please.
Okay. Through this process, I know that we allow a space for individuals to make comments about agenda items, but in this organizational thing we have going on here, there's really no. There's a lot of times in webinars, there's a little button you can press to raise your hand or something like that. You know, there's a couple of things I've had questions on, and that we've moved right past them. And I haven't had any opportunities to ask any questions. So is there going to be a formal place in this where not only the public can ask questions, but since we're eliminating pre-council, we can also ask questions? Because we're moving through this quick, which is great, but there's a few things that I don't know.
Like with anything, if I'm not mistaken, with Robert's rules, once the motion is put on the floor, questions can be asked before the vote is called.
Well,
Any comments on that,
feedback,
Rob? Or we
feedback
can
might
take
be to
time,
go ahead and
or we can take time
because
at the
this,
beginning of the meeting and go over each one, just like we did in pre-council.
it's just tough with this two-way communication that whenever someone starts speaking, another one gets blocked off. It's just difficult to have the conversation, and it's just what it is. So are you saying that before we start the meeting, you're going to give us the opportunity, or how are you going to put that? I mean, are you just going to say, okay, resolution?
One possibility is when we get to agenda items, we can discuss each item independently and then go back and start the voting process. Or again, we can put it on the floor and ask questions and answer anything before the actual vote is called, which would be the normal way you would do it, as far as I know, under parliamentary procedure.
If I could interject, I might make a suggestion for you. two things. One, I think this is working really well overall, but there is a little bit of a delay, about a second or two. So if you ask a question or you're going to make a comment, you might want to wait just a second or two before you move on to the next part, because there's a little bit of it with a delay there. I would suggest that you can, and I hear what you're saying. There's two things I think that will help answer the question that Councilman Spivey has. One is under the category where you have deliberation of agenda items only. I think you could take whatever time there to discuss those among yourselves as well as public. Typically, when we're face to face and you've already done your work session, you don't have questions, but the public may have questions, and that's what that slot is used for. But there's nothing to say that you can't use whatever time is necessary at that point to cover any questions that you may have about upcoming agenda items, as well as the public doing that also. And I think that might get at the point. The final point that I will make on that is just need to make sure when you get a motion and a second that there's at least enough pause for question or discussion, because really that's when, according to the rules, it is on the floor for discussion before you vote on it. So sometimes we forget that, but that's really the spot for those questions.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Wilson.
Yes, thank you. Councilor Spivey mentioned about the raise hand button on the go-to meeting. Is there an option for that?
There is as an attendee, but as panelists, you guys have the right to talk at any given time. So there's not a raise hand button. I can put you in as attendee if that was what you would rather, but I thought the panelists gave you more freedom to talk.
Yeah, my question was there a raise hand button? And you just answered that question. It's for attendees, so I'm good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's another thing we could resolve. If you need to comment, just placing your hand up so it's visible on the screen. We'll know that, although I can't see Mr. London and I can barely see Councilor Spivey over here in the corner. So, but anyway, that would help. But I think the mayor had a good suggestion. What we could do is initially open the floor for public comments and then do our question and answer session before we actually go into voting. That would probably work well. And then you would have additional time once it's on the floor before we actually call the vote. If everybody seems happy with that, we'll try that at the next meeting. Okay, with that being said,
Mr. President, can I have a comment?
Yes, sir.
On the agenda, we already have a spot for public comments on agenda items before we even deliberate.
That's what we're talking about, Councilor London. At that point, we would take our comments from the public, and then we could deliberate and ask questions following that, because we would also have the public's input if we had any questions on the agenda items before we actually get into voting. All right?
Patricia,
We'll try that
once you're done.
Sure.
Patricia, I'm going to ask you a question about it, because you can't see me on the screen, so you can't see me raise my hand. I'm not sure what's going on. We'll talk about it tomorrow. How's that?
Okay. Hey, and just so you know, I just actually got a question from the public, and I unmuted the entire attendee public when you asked for comments from the public so that they could then speak. They all then self-muted themselves, but I did do that. And then the only thing was there was somebody had asked for a brief sentence about the ordinances. That was from our two gentlemen from the troops that are trying to work on their merit badge. And I think that you may have answered that in the mix, but I just wanted to kind of let you know that.
And if they had additional questions, would it be inappropriate for them to get in touch with the mayor for some follow-up? Would that be a problem, sir?
No, that'll be fine.
All right. Thank you very much. With that being said, we still have item number 4.
Do I need to restate the motion?
Well, we kind of got lost in all the back and forth. We do have a motion to accept 2020-09 at this point.
I make a motion that ordinance number 2020-09 be considered read.
I
Second.
second that motion.
Right.
Okay. Counselor Bearden,
Yes.
Counselor Wilson,
Yes.
Counselor Spivey,
Yes.
Counselor London,
Yes.
and myself, yes. That part carries.
All right, I'll make a
Please.
motion that all rules that would prevent the immediate consideration and adoption of ordinance number 2020-09 be suspended and that unanimous consent be given for immediate consideration of said ordinance.
I second that motion. Counselor Bearden,
Yes.
Counselor Wilson,
Yes.
Counselor Spivey,
Yes.
Counselor London,
Yes.
and myself, yes.
I make a motion that ordinance number 2020-09 be finally passed and adopted as introduced.
I second that motion. Counselor Bearden,
Yes.
Counselor Wilson,
Yes.
Counselor Spivey,
Yes.
Counselor London,
Yes.
and myself, yes. So motion carries. With that being said, we will open up for any general public comments. Okay,
I unmuted everybody, so they should be able. Let me just make sure.
okay.
They all muted themselves back, so I guess there are no comments.
All right, thank you so much. With that, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Second. Okay, Counselor Bearden,
Yes.
Counselor Wilson,
Yes.
Counselor Spivey,
Yes.
Counselor London.
Yes.
Make a quick comment now that we're adjourned. We're going through a learning curve. Thank y'all for your patience tonight. Hopefully next time we'll do even better. And thank y'all for attending.
Thank you.
Be safe. Be safe out there, guys.
Everybody be careful and safe. Thank you. So all you need to do is sign yourselves off.
Yep, John, stay on, and I'm going to show you how to do the webcam.
I got you.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.